Greetings, Earthlings, and welcome to the Obelisk. Hey, Niish.
Fantastic, Jerry. How are you doing? It's been a crazy pre-show, you all.
Good times, good times. We got a great show tonight. We have a new segment we're introducing, which is going to be a full moon recap, astrological forecast with highlights of the month. And for that tonight, we have Dan Shukas from Cosmic Peace Podcast. Dan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot, Jerry and Niish, for having me.
That's great. It's great. It's a cool idea. I'm glad Niish thought of it.
Thank you, Dan. Different way of Dan and very gracious king.
Oh, the show's paid.
Well, the show, but and and so I'm super thrilled about this segment, and moving forward, we're rotating astrologers every month to promote astrologers we admire, dig, friends of the show, and just to add this great element, the
Generally
Obelisk.
cool people.
Yeah. So it's the floor is yours, Dan.
Yeah,
baby.
our next month's guest astrologer is in the live chat.
Oh, excellent. Yes, the wonderful Astroluna Chit-chat got her book today, and I'm thrilled. And then the one after that will be Sarolta Defalte of the
Sweet.
Lilith Zone. So,
Awesome.
So peek ahead, everyone.
Great. So stay tuned, guys. We're going to have a good show tonight. Commercial free. And remember, sorry, pants are optional. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, well, first of all, thanks a lot for having me. Thanks for having me first astrologer, because I am a fan of the show. I do work usually on Wednesday nights, but I've literally, if YouTube didn't close it on your phone, I would for sure have this in my ear every day. But I love Knox Wednesday and like what you guys are doing. And yeah, thanks again for having me. So, since this is like a monthly Wednesday night show closest to the nearest full moon, now is a good time to recap what happened this past weekend. Like Jerry and Niish, would you say this last weekend was kind of hectic or crazy for you? I'm just curious.
Not really. Not, I think the energy was, but I wasn't.
Yeah, I actually I played through it, but there was a lot of hectic stuff around me that was very palpable and noticeable. And especially, I might add, in an occultism, that my dreams were off the hook. So I know stuff was going on that I'm still processing.
Yeah, I mean, basically, and we're in the time of year that's for us season. A full moon is when the sun and the moon are in opposite signs, and every Libra season we have the Aries full moon. So, like this past Sunday was the Aries full moon of 2019. Basically, the point where the sun in Libra and the moon in Aries were both at, I think it was 20 degrees of their respective signs. So that's a full moon. That's like an intense moment. But in astrology, study like the angles well. So you have an opposition with like full moon, sun in Libra, moon in Aries, that's an opposition. But we also had Pluto in Capricorn forming a 90-degree angle to the sun and the moon. So the drama of like the full moon being in the fire sign of Aries, being really fiery, spontaneous, aggressive, Martian, that duality between Aries being Martian and Libra being Venusian, like a Venus, is dramatic in itself. But Pluto, far, far out planet that is really generational and sort of evolutionary in a lot of ways, abstract. Pluto formed a 90-degree angle to both the sun and the moon. So, if this is the first time I've like retrospectively talked about astrology, because it already happened. but in my observation, a lot of people around me, had to deal with a lot of like shadow issues. Pluto is shadow. It's like hidden, raw, unconscious power. It's like very primal and very, it affects society and humanity in a big way because it's that far out in the solar system. So when an alignment like that happens, it's definitely like a dramatic moment in astrology. So, and even before that, on Saturday, there was an opposition between Venus and Libra and Uranus, or no, Venus and Scorpio. I'm sorry, and Uranus and Taurus. So there was this like Uranian craziness that was happening last week. We had this crazy dramatic full moon, and then on Monday, when the moon moved into Taurus, it made a conjunction with Uranus. So like Uranian energy is very explosive and rebellious and disruptive. So like retrospectively, if we're looking at last weekend, the astrology would suggest some sort of shadow work, some craziness, some drama. And now by today, the moon is going to be moving into Gemini, I think at 10:30 Eastern tonight. So we've been having this Taurus moon to kind of calm down past energy. So that's kind of the full moon cap. And I guess for anybody listening, like, just think if this past weekend anything came up, like was there some chaos that made you force yourself to rearrange your life? Was there like shadowy stuff, insecurities, stuff you don't like about yourself that like sprouted to the surface? And like, how do you work with that energy? I know on a personal level and a lot of people around me, there was a lot of chaos, like kind of like cracked out, like crazy energy. So this past Tuesday and today have been sort of calmed down, and really in the week ahead, there's nothing quite so dramatic happening. You guys have any questions about any of that?
Well, I think it's funny that I basically had my Uranian craziness in this pre-show. And
Well, the moon,
was I on the delay there, Dan?
I mean, it's still happening. The sun is still in a loose square with Pluto. The sun, I mean, I don't have my active internet chart. I'm falling right now,
Yeah.
but I'm guessing the sun's at like 22 degrees Libra right now, maybe. So I'm guessing it's still with like 3 degrees of squaring Pluto. And the moon was activated by Uranus last night later, but there's still like the hangover, and these things manifest in all different kinds of ways.
And it certainly did for me, and that was unusual, an unusual outburst. I was extremely for years in my life, I haven't had an outburst like that. And so
It was hot though.
yeah, Jerry, I knew you were getting excited. And so plus I have this going, but yes, I do also always subscribe to the fact that there's a shadow period around everything too, and we're still in a shadow period of the full moon as well. So,
Well, speaking of shadow periods, we're in the shadow period of Mercury retrograde, because now it's getting to the month ahead of astrology coming up. I mean, the big news is that on Halloween, Mercury stations retrograde,
And Brexit.
and then it will perfect alignment right there. So yeah, if you think back to last year, Scorpio, like October, I think it was even in early October too. At this time of the year last year, Venus retrograde Scorpio. So that's a different approach to like a scorpionic retrograde. But this year on Halloween, Mercury stations retrograde in Scorpio, and then will not go direct until what day is it? Later in the month of November.
so it's a long one. This one coming up.
It's typically like 3.5. So like, you know, after Halloween, the month of November is flavored by the Mercury in Scorpio going retrograde, you know, like the theme of Scorpio, you know, it's a fixed water sign. So it's okay. By the way, Mercury goes direct on November 20th. Sorry, that took me freaking 10 minutes.
Is it retrograde now, or is it's coming up, right?
So it's not retrograde now, but it's in its shadow because when it goes direct, it's going to go direct at 11 degrees Scorpio. And right now, Mercury is past 11 degrees Scorpio. I think when it stations direct on Halloween, basically if you're following Mercury in the chart, it's going the right direction, forward moving, and then it stops and starts moving backward. So it goes into the earlier degrees of Scorpio. And now we're at that. It's currently at the point where it's passing up that zone of going direct. So, you know, and I notice I always notice Mercury retrograde stuff more on Wednesdays. It's traditionally the day of Mercury. And like last Wednesday, we had some crap go down. But maybe Niish, the thing today was maybe a Mercury retrograde Scorpio activation. I don't know. But
yeah, and you know my chart's very mercurial.
Yeah, communication.
It is, yeah. Gemini rise.
Yeah,
Ruled by the trickster, Mercury. But
So Mercury, you said it was associated with Wednesdays, is that, and that's also known to be associated with Odin. Are those two somehow connected, or potentially the same archetype?
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that. We actually did an episode on that on the Cosmos. Somebody like got pissed about it. It was like, get your Norse mythology right. But I mean, on an archetypal level, Odin is like the magician. You know, he made the sacrifice on the tree, the world tree,
right,
to like gain knowledge. So he's very informational and like mercurial, I would say. But it's interesting. Mercury in the Greek sense is
Hermes,
sort of agender, like it's a they them. So all the planets are pretty gendered, but Mercury as the messenger is actually like hermaphroditic.
right?
From an astrology perspective, it, you know, crosses the boundary between those dualities. So
It has to be both.
So yeah, exactly, yeah. But yeah. So basically, you know, between now and next Obelisk episode, the next full moon will be on November 12th. That'll be the full moon in Taurus because we'll be in Scorpio season at that point and activating the Scorpio Taurus axis. And the moon is exalted in Taurus. So a full moon in Taurus is a great time of year. So it won't be as crazy as this Aries one, it seems. But Mercury is going to be retrograde, you know, from now until then. And we got to keep in mind too, Saturn is in its home sign of Sagittarius. Jupiter is Sagittarius. Sorry, Saturn is Capricorn. But Jupiter is a good luck planet, and he's been in Sagittarius for about a year, and then in December he enters Capricorn, and that's when shit hits the fan, in my opinion. So, I mean, that's on Monday, December 2nd. Jupiter will enter Capricorn, and then we start off the 2020 drama. Like 2020, from an astrological point of view, is going to be also a very hectic beginning, but it's kind of like, you know, you want to see the show, so I'm kind of excited for it. But yeah, I guess that extends a little past next Obelisk show, but sitting here with my calendar, just trying to give the Easter egg.
So are there any particular hot days or
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Jerry, go on.
No, there's a lot of dates there are several dates being spoken about in the community.
For example, Jerry?
November 3rd. There's a lot of talk about November 3rd, kind of you know, um, professional thespian activity, if you know what I mean.
What do you see? I know you're not prepared for just us to pull dates, but what do you see?
No, I got a calendar. So
Okay,
Yeah,
we
it
so
have
was
good.
November
the
3rd.
3rd and the 17th.
Yeah,
So
give us
the
highlights on
when
those ones.
Trump's and Dale is, I think that's a 7th.
Well, okay, November 3rd is daylight savings time, and which is significant for me. But the I mean, the moon will be in Aquarius. I mean, there's some aspects between the moon, but I wouldn't mark that a red flag day astrologically. I mean, I would mark Halloween as a red flag day because that's the day that Mercury stations retrograde. The 17th, let's see. Yeah, the 17th. I mean, there's no planetary aspects that are like major or anything. The moon will be in. It'll start the day off in Cancer and then enter Leo and make some aspects. But yeah, to answer your question, the 17th and the 3rd do not stand out on from my point of view on like from the astrology. Um, I mean, the next full moon when you record, I'm sure your astrologer will go over it, but
Yeah,
we're gonna have
Susan.
yeah, I mean that day that moon will be trining Pluto, so that's like a more positive way of transformation. It'll be opposite Mercury retrograde, so that might activate the Mercury retrograde. And I think the next full moon looks kind of nice. It activates, Mars sextile Jupiter will be happening that day. It's like one of the last um, positive. I mean, Jupiter and Sagittarius is mostly positive, so that'll be like helpful. It's next the next moon is not as bad as the previous moon, from my point of view.
So looking at this month between this moon and the next moon, uh, do you have any just kind of keywords for this month? So we're writing in the communication, allow extra time, all that stuff. But do
Yeah.
you have any like just some advice for general people getting through? And then we'll move to news of the weird.
Well, this is Scorpio season. The sun enters Scorpio on October 23rd. When you're learning astrology, I mean, paying attention to the season in your hometown or wherever you live is the best way to like viscerally understand the symbolism. And Scorpio season, it's dark. A lot of the leaves have fallen, and trees all of a sudden look spooky. It's Halloween. People embrace fucked up stuff like killer clowns, and it's all about like our fears and the shadow. So and this Mercury is going retrograde on Halloween in Scorpio, and we have the new moon in Scorpio on October 27th. And on that day, okay, that's a good red flag day. On the new moon in Scorpio on October 27th, we have the aspect of Mars squaring Saturn. Mars is in Libra, Saturn is in Capricorn. Both of these are the malefic planets. The new moon in the Scorpio, which is Stinger, like Scorpio is spooky and dark, and that's coming to be a Scorpio moon, Scorpio rising. And people that aren't comfortable with the darkness, the uncomfortableness, or their fears, might get triggered on the 27th. But since it's a new moon in Scorpio during this kind of potent Scorpio season, do the shadow work. Like, I don't know if you've never talked to a therapist, it sounds kind of generic, but like let it all out, process the shadow, process your underworld, your sewage system, your consciousness, because like it's a triggering time of year, even like in general. People get moody and pissed off when they realize fall is coming to an end. Winter is right around the corner. So like when Mars and Libra square Saturn, Capricorn on that date, be prepared to do the shadow work. And then I would say extend that all the way to the Taurus moon, which is when your next episode will be. And the Taurus moon is probably going to be nice because Taurus is earthy. The moon in Taurus can be healing and grounding. So, you know, it's like any Mercury retrograde. Embrace the patience and get ready for crazy. That's what life is. So
Impeachment. Crazy. There you go.
yeah, that's one of several triggering words.
Do you know how many
Okay.
times it was said last night during the debate?
I didn't watch.
No, neither did I.
Can't say I watched it
It's
myself.
like over 300 times it was spoken. And we're not
Oh,
going to say
wow.
it anymore. Well,
Yeah, we're
thank
trying
you.
to stay away from politics here.
Well, it's Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, so it's going to be those trigger platitudes, trigger words, but it's all retrograde, it's all words.
It's in the past.
So I have 27th marked down for sure, and I'll be paying extra attention for the new moon. That's great. And this, for people listening, was our first run through of this segment. So send us a little love for trying to get through.
Yeah, really. Dan, someone asked if you were a tropical astrologer.
I am, yeah. That's good to note because for people that are just like dabbling, there are different zodiacs, different approaches.
Mm-hmm.
I do the Western modern approach because I use the outer planets, but I use whole sign house and kind of Hellenistic techniques as well as modern techniques. But there are a lot of ways to approach this. That should be known.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. And as Nish said before, we're going to be giving away a 30-minute reading with Dan next week for anyone who leaves a comment on this video. So, well, I'll also mention it in the description and leave a comment and maybe you'll win. We'll pull it live on the show next week. So thanks again, Dan. It's really nice having you.
Yeah, and stick
Thank you,
around
guys.
for news of the weird. You may or not if you're busy.
Yeah, it's up to you.
But
I think
definitely in this
I gotta
section we'll
run.
get Nate. Okay,
Yeah,
well, thank you for
and it
being
was
our
nice.
inaugural astrologer.
Oh no, I love this stuff, and it was nice meeting Nate in conference call mode.
Hey,
And
buddy.
thank you guys again for having me.
And how may people get a hold of you? Just as a quick ending to this section.
You can check out cosmicpodcast.com, and that should have all the social media links and reading bookings and an archive of all of our shows too. So
Thank you so much. I love Cosmic Keys. Thank you, Dan. Have a good night.
one last thing, check out our interview with Nish.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't I post that? It's on our
Thank
channel.
you guys, take care.
All right, take care.
Bye, Dan.
I think it's on our channel. I'm pretty sure it's on our channel.
Yeah, Jerry, you put it up. So now news of the weird.
Yeah, I'm getting it up. As I say.
And so Nathan Lee's with us. He's here and waiting. So he's going to be joining us and chit chat about this. And we can do a formal info, or, his info. Get his name.
I'm just cropping. Excuse me. All right. So I could share it. I'm going to share the screen.
Oh, cool.
People can read along. So the first story we have tonight, I totally swiped from coast to coast. And I'll probably bust Banal's stones about it this weekend. Anyway. So a high school in Ghana was forced to shut down this week after an alleged ghost sighting sparked something of a panic among the pupils. It's just kind of crazy that they close the school. I know that they close the schools here in Georgia if there's like even a forecast of possible snow. Can't imagine the ghost shit.
Yeah, there's more of that happening too. And I keep reading more, and everyone that's listening to me on other shows I've been doing and through Nox Mente knows I'm onto this possession kick right now. And so all of this kind of supernatural ghost and possession stuff is starting to create a larger uh, tapestry. There's a larger picture that's happening for me, and it's not a religious thing in the way I'm perceiving it. I'm seeing something that looks very interesting that falls under the term possession, though, and also for some people, ghosts. And the fact that cities and towns and this stuff's making larger news is happening more frequently is strange and synchronistic.
this this ties into some of the Thomas Sheridan videos that he's been putting out lately with the C333 internet demon.
Yes,
Because
yes.
he's pretty much come out and said that he thinks that the internet demon can possess people.
Yeah, it's a new phenomena, really, and I do think there's a lot to do with the idea of, as billions of people project into the idea of the internet and into and onto the internet, it's like it's becoming conscious or sentient in that way, in the way a tulpa does.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's something going on there, and no doubt the electromagnetic aspect of how we digitally connect and our biofield, our biospheres are lining up and tuning in. This is an interesting rabbit hole to jump down or walk through, follow that carrot, because it's juicy. It's
Mm-hmm.
some real woo.
Definitely. And I'll put some links to Thomas Sheridan's video about it somewhere that you'll be able to find. So the next story I had, I love this one. The Vatican has announced they're promoting rather, the smart rosary that's selling for $110, and it connects to your smartphone with an app, and you make the sign of the cross to activate it. It's just kind of funny. I don't know if they're capitalizing on this or trying to stay relevant.
It didn't. That is definitely trying to stay relevant, I think.
Sold
And
by Click to Pray,
oh my goodness,
an initiative of the
Jerry,
Pope's Worldwide Prayer Network. Yeah, yeah.
are you noticing this, that there's more like a return to Judeo, the Abrahamic religions with a lot of people, and this kind of stuff seems to be on the rise?
Yeah, I do, and I think I know why, but I don't know. I would rather not say.
Well, I'm just saying this is just more of that, though, where it's something else that kind of I'm noticing more of this kind of stuff. So I don't know if it's the churches trying to stay relevant. I'm not sure. I'm
They're,
not sure why.
they're trying to definitely address a younger audience, one that's more, technology capable. That's definitely one thing. I think there are a lot of people who, in fear, have been driven towards the church because of climate change.
Yeah. Well, certainly if you're organized, I mean, no offense to anyone out there, but
No,
if you're an organized religion and you're definitely one that speaks about revealing and apocalyptic stuff and end times, these are your time to really
yeah,
focus in on that message, because it's crazy
it is. But
and everyone
I was just,
sees how crazy things are.
I don't know if it's falling apart. It's being portrayed to us as it's falling apart, like it is, but I don't know if it is. Yeah, I just think the only reason that anyone would get religion is out of fear. There's no other reason, really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we could be heavily debated on that, but fear is certainly for real a big factor, and it's I don't know, but these personal connections that people have once they within the construct of religion, that's where the transcendental experience happens in the religious experience. So
Mhm.
I yeah, I definitely don't want to come off like I'm attacking anyone's faith, because I'm not.
You
But
are.
it's
You
it,
God
it is
hater.
I am not. I think we're all gods, or at least we all have access to it. And so I don't hate myself, Jerry.
All right. So the last story is the one you got.
Yes. And I figured you were going to read it.
I didn't read it. So mind reading technology is everyone's next big security nightmare. And I do know that like Facebook already has something like this. So while the hardware can be made as secure as possible, turning our thoughts into digital form will put them at risk just like any other data. So technology allowing our thoughts and feelings to be translated into digital form and shared is already a reality. Brain-computer interfaces, BCI, allow us to connect our minds to computers for some limited purposes. And big tech companies, including Facebook and many startups, want to make this technology commonplace. It's creepy.
It's and so pardon me, this, which was so sci-fi my whole life, and even up until last year, having conversations about this online with people, in person with people, I was still hearing people say, oh man, this is way into the future, this is getting debunked and all this. Well, whatever's going on and all the woo that could be said about it, it's being seeded through all the mainstream media now. And
it has been for years.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been for years, so it's amping. And it's amped, Elon Musk with Neuralink, all that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's here. And it's definitely here, even if it's not here and you can get your Neuralink right now. It's here in the fact that it's being presented as being here. It's in the present and we're speaking of it, which is also helping to bring it into manifestation, as anyone that understands how that all works. So here we go. Here we go. The good and the bad. I mean, I am one of those people with technology that I sit in the center. I love all the possibilities moving forward. And yet I see how we get co-op, how great medical stuff gets co-opted, and usually for nefarious reasons. And those reasons oftentimes come down to who's going to make the bottom line of money,
right?
Who sets to, and then therein lies control. Mm-hmm. But when we're looking at the idea of, well, we could instantly learn 1 million languages, or we could read each other's minds, for the good side of that, and all this other stuff that's really cool. It's awesome. It's just that, like surveillance,
Well, it's going to be used for surveillance, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And so I can't hate a cell phone because I'm being surveilled on it. Right. I hate that it's happening and that is being co-opted.
Right. I'm reading here that there's, obviously they're going to have two versions, a non-invasive and an invasive, one which is like a cap and one which will be implanted. And you know that it will be marketed as like a light version, the non-invasive one, and they won't have the good software. You'll have to upgrade. Right. It's going to suck compared to the one you plug into your head.
Well, and always as this stuff trickles down, right? Those with the money get, there's just the tier system here. So there's.
I can't see this like being feasible in my life.
And yet, Elon Musk is saying Neuralink's right around the corner. So
I haven't seen one yet.
Well, you haven't seen one yet, but they're definitely saying this is going to happen soon. So that's the whole point of what I was making observable here with this, is they're now saying this is around the corner and not something that's, say, past your lifetime. This is in our lifetime. This is not only in our lifetimes, this is around the corner.
Yeah, okay. We'll see. Jeremy Crow, who's in our live chat tonight. Hey, Jeremy, how you doing? Thanks for stopping by. He said he would get one if he had a serious medical issue and it could help it. And I might agree with that.
Yeah, that's the thing, is I really actually dig the good side of it and all that. And really the idea of being able to instantly download, like speaking any language,
well, they're talking
accessing.
Yeah, right. Like Matrix, how do I fly this helicopter?
Yeah.
Get a download. Yeah.
You blink a certain way and you've got that information. And I like the idea of uh, people being able to speak without, on a psychic level. Although we can do that and we should do that without having to plug into
Okay.
wire,
Right. And have it
knowledge.
surveilled. Have your conversation surveilled.
Yeah. And so it's like a thing. But if I lost limbs or if I go blind or something, you bet your life. If I go blind and I can get some sort of bionic eye, I want.
Yeah, me too. I want a
If
bionic eye anyway.
Yeah, right. And so if I lose a leg, I want a bionic leg. I'm not even going to hesitate those or under those circumstances.
Do you think it makes like that $6 million man kind of sound when you look out of it?
For the people of the 70s, and the bionic woman sound too.
There's no such thing. Anyway.
The bionic woman mirrored that sound. It's a $6 million man.
Those are the crappy 3 news stories we found, and I promise to read them next week ahead of time.
All right. Well, those were fun, and that was a fun little segment.
Right. So everyone in chat knows OccultFan. Nathan, Lee, Miller Foster, guitarist, Tool fan, boy extraordinaire, and Boston resident. Massachusetts, you're not in Boston, are you? He's not talking. Anyway, Nate's going to walk us through some connections he found between Twin Peaks, The X-Files, and Fringe. 2 of my favorite shows.
I love all those shows, so I'm really looking forward to Nate here with this information and just generally chatting with Nate because it's always a pleasure. The well is deep with Nathan Lee.
I gotta let the cat in. I'll be back.
So welcome aboard, Nathan Lee. It's been a long time since we've had a chat on air, and I'm so glad to have you here.
Hey, hi Jerry, hi Niish, and hi everyone in chat. I think I know someone out there, at least one of you, one of you.
I'm not in the chat, but I think we both know that our beloved JJ is probably listening.
Who is that? Who's JJ?
Grande Blanc. And I think am I saying that wrong, Nate?
Oh my God, please. I mean, I know that I love her, and it's kind of like I don't get it right all the time, but I say Rhonda. I say, okay, I'll just, like, if I'm just going to say it the way, like, I was going to tell someone, like, off the cuff, like, hey, oh yeah, my girlfriend's brand is Rhonda Blanc. That's how I would say it, but I like the way that comes off, and maybe that's just me. You can say it your own way as long as, you get the REINE. Oh God, I can't even. As long as you get the thing that I said to get that. Get
it. Yes. So a big shout out to JJ for sure, and of course, I'm sure there are lots of people that are listening now that know you and JJ, me, and that will be listening to this later. So always a pleasure to extend love to those who extend love our way. Right,
well,
Nate?
it keeps a good thing going. I think gratitude is how it works. And if you really genuinely from the bottom of your heart try to make yourself present and felt for someone else in a way that is actually, looking past the bullshit, putting that all aside and focusing on the things that everyone can agree upon, from the macro to the micro. What I'm saying, just for like a together thing, when you can get together and really see something from a creative growth perspective and be present for someone, they can really feel a place that cannot be manipulated, some psychopath cannot advertise this out of you. This cannot be something you can drink someone into. Well, I don't ever want to be the person who has to test that wrong. Yo, for real. Because what we're talking about, opportunity we have with our adulthood in this time to actually put a message forward that can actually propagate some kind of change.
Yes.
and I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because like I raised this on the Six of Cups that was definitely out, published this evening. Cough. You'll see it tomorrow. Cough.
I was
But
on that one
were you? Um,
a little
and
bit when
so
you let
what
me
we
talk.
one of the important things that we raised was just this idea of like how what we're doing right now, does it even matter? And I want things right now, not just some transitory, oh, this is what we're doing. I if for an understanding of what we're doing as a cumulative zeitgeist of this time, it doesn't have to be this, or this, or this. But right now, what we're doing has to have an impact, because I mean, time does come. Saturn does come back around. That's kind of where I'm going with this, but in a more lighthearted way, I hope.
Yeah, I agree. You know, the deeper into my life I get, the more I realize how important love is in general. And in my earlier life, in my more, I think, angsty punk periods and gothy periods and all the different me's that lived, I was, you know, this this is in my life has always been something. I know that love is important, but the deeper into life I get, more truly I see how what a web it is. What and in a good way, in a connection way, like a Neuralink, really, and how these psychic bonds are creating more and vibrating out, and it is visceral. I can feel it, and the idea of what you give is what you get has a lot of weight with me now at this point in my life, seeing return, you know?
And it's not always in dividends, and sometimes it's best to never ever consider a reward from an action if you can, especially if it's something so epic. So, like, you consider the meme of a cool person not looking back at a explosion. That's kind of like doing this epic good deed and just never expecting a reward, not even telling anyone. That level of kind of thing. I would like to put that idea out there. That's a cool thing to do once in a lifetime at least. Kick that off the bucket list.
Once in a blue moon.
Yeah, I think that this is a big deal to me, and it is definitely navigated. It's definitely something. It's a way I navigate now. I give out of love. I always have, and I don't do it with strings. I have encountered that lots in my life, which has at times allowed me or inspired me to close myself off from others, because it seemed to me for a time, and I've said this a lot, like a smile has a string. Like people, you offer a smile up to someone and they have some sort of string now towards me, and they control me, or they want to uh, use it against me, and it's easy to shut down. And so uh, to do things really from that place of wholeness without expectation, without uh, an idea that there may be a return that comes back to you from an action you've created, is where the purity is. And I think that the getting down to the core, the kernel, the purity is what I'm speaking of here, in terms of love and connectivity to our other Homo sapiens sapiens, backslash also we are genetically modified, so our other brothers and sisters that are walking this plane with us.
Well, giving people a space to be themselves as well, within reason too, because I mean, one of the things I like to consider about, because before we get very super lovey, which I'm totally Mercury and Venus, so I can communicate love, communicate love, communicate love. Leo on my moon's just not gonna ever stop. So
We share that.
I know we do. We talk about it every
I know.
time. It has to be said. It's Leo. It's gonna do it.
I
So
know.
it's gonna do it. Anyways, where was I going? Something about
Before we get too lovey-dovey.
yeah. Okay, this is good. Pillars of severity exist for a reason. So I mean, like when we have like Sophia and or recent Aeon Bite on Mary Magdalene talking about how Christ is the reason and how Magdalene would be kind of the wisdom, right? Both are necessary. So form and function, if you will. That's kind of like the brief way that I'm throwing this together, just as I make this up as I go along, to be completely honest. But
Yeah, this is
I
not
think
scripted.
love. This is exactly what love beneath will seems to be, as kind of just a conceptual matter. Like, oh, love is the law. Love, love,
Yes.
love. But where's okay love? So we have this amorphous love blob. Hey, that was nice. Whatever that was. Did you get your keys? But the point is that afterwards we need something that is going to be boxed into so that it has a space to exist within reason. So when I was love tempered by this, and what is this? So will, and then you can extrapolate just back to where we came.
Agape.
Then you can extrapolate, right? Exactly, and that's so important. The types of love is what's important there too. Then you can extrapolate to reason being part of will and the extension of will. But this is a very a special, useful way of understanding what reason is. It's not just like, oh, pontificatory bullshit garbage. Pardon my language. Garbage is kind of rude. I should say trash and rubbish. But anyway, so the point is that when you look at it from that angle, it's kind of armchair. But when you look at reason from like a way of existing with other people and just like letting them be there. So this is where it comes back around to what we're talking about, letting them be there and being themselves, but within whatever good people do reason. That let that be redefined in our generation as something that's not codified either by extremes from the old or extremes from the new, but maybe something that's useful for what really does seem adult right for whatever we are now. It's inclusive, but it's not sappy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there must always be a sense of boundaries in what we do. We draw the circle around us. We're a cell, essentially, that is pliable, hopefully, for most. Less pliable for those who need to pull in the shadow and do some work, be less rigid. Uh, but this is, and again, on subject with this, it all starts from self. Again, and again and again. You can't, I mean, it's the RuPaul thing. If you can't love yourself, how the hell you gonna love somebody else? Can I get an amen? You know,
Amen.
that is so true, and it's so not. And one of the things is the more I accept the down and dirty with myself that I have projected outward onto other people, and we all do this. This is part of the process here. So, whether it's wherever your shadow is in someone else, it behooves you to stop and say, well, why am I feeling the need here to, uh, whatever, say, ooh, look at that, or be agitated at something. This is internal psychic content that has been projected out into the world that needs to come back in and be assimilated. And that's like the bio, organic, natural singularity within ourselves that
Analog.
generates, it's analog, and it generates this idea of self being a sun, a superstar, uh, in the psychic sense is where I'm speaking here. And so, yeah, we must have boundaries. Without boundaries, there really is no love. It is something bigger and higher and deeper than just a smile or saying I love you. It's this is I love myself. And it reminds me of, I've talked about this, I think, with you, Nate, about the hymn to the soul from Carl Jung in this red book. Amazing. The most beautiful, amazing thing you could read. It's a love letter, but it's a love letter to self. It's a love letter to his anima. And this is the concept I'm speaking of. See this in the great mystery schools. And I think we also see this in the threads of stuff that you actually came here with kind of an idea to talk about.
Yeah,
So,
I was gonna say this does sound like a way that we can talk about, how to start with. Let's start with a positive one. Like that's the anima. People who get in touch with the anima are the people who are after. I'm just gonna make bold claims because
do it.
rise and go out the gate. No, the gate doesn't exist. I was already here in your mind. The white lodge exists for those who seek to establish that higher sense and that way of understanding, stepping through and confronting the metaphorical shadow challenger, the dweller at the threshold, to rejoin in a more perfect or bodhisattvic kind of unification. Broad terms for extremely broad concepts, but those who are of the other path, the egoic, and here, and I mean, I said the other evening that there is hierarchy. There isn't. One thing's important. You need to know who to talk to make this happen, but at the same time, no one's really more important than anyone. So clashing of this and that at the same time, as above so below, some kind of paradox is seemingly occurring. It's important not to get lost in that weeds, but to navigate it with a true heart's perspective from just as much as quickly as I can say and how long we have at this time right now. So get back here.
We're in no hurry, Nate.
Ooh, excellent then. Well then, let me breathe for once today.
Breathe in.
And so yeah, I mean, it's not so simple as saying it's service to self, service to others, egotism. There really is a flavor, though, to those who are after like this, like dragging us down into materialism, making us think that it's futile, pitting us against each other, sending out negative Watigo thought waves, sending out tulpas that genuinely seek to just murderous intent. And I mean, like, obviously, there's the documentary I Am Fishhead talking about psychopaths, the parable being that the fish rots from the head down, where the documentary gets its name from. I don't usually recommend documentaries. When I do, it's I Am Fishhead's pretty damn good, and it talks about psychopathy and how a corporation's a psychopath in a way too. Other things have covered that, but it really digs deep, and I think it's worth watching at least once. So the point is that we can avoid these things only so much in our lives, and we need to learn how to successfully navigate the negative things that exist in this, obviously, at times, both wonderful, wonderful, wonderful world that we live in, with people that surround us that are talented in ways we never imagined, and relearning to see people who you've seen so many times before, and suddenly they're like, wow, I didn't know that when I saw you like that, you look like a fucking Venus de Milo or something, or David or something. So I mean, like, there's all these different ways that to enrich and look in our lives in a wonderful way. That is sick and disgusting, and there are horrible people, and we can lose people around us, especially if we dig too deeply into anything that's too dark, and not do it in the right way, with the right direction, with the right understanding of what darkness is. I think that's very important that we keep one another with an appropriate attitude towards safe metaphysics, proper shielding, and having a real drive towards your soul's purpose and necessity. No matter what I say, no matter what else anyone says, but with all God's sakes, do it safely. If you don't, people after 9/11, I'll add this. I want to add this. I haven't said it. Something that's been on my mind. Totally nothing serious. After 9/11, everyone started saying, be safe, be safe, be safe. You know what? It's time to just say, so you ever hear someone say that again? Have fun. Have fun. Have fun. Just little thing. It's like instead of flipping someone off in traffic, do the thumbs down. Little things like this. Little things like this. For adults, you don't have to let someone trample on you either. Anyway, so that was a nice way to end that.
What's wrong with live long and prosper?
You can do that too.
Okay.
Yeah, I love long and prosper.
I have a funny story about that. Go ahead.
Oh, do you? I just wanted to put a nice exclamation mark on what Nathan Lee was just saying, and this is, I think most people that listen to our shows here understand the power of words, all of it, but these things are so unconscious with a lot of people, and I notice it in language that comes at me is little silly, almost like cursing, and it's just so shocking sometimes. If it's a person close to me, I mention, I say, if it's a stranger, I just, that's when kind of the flash of the evil eye happens with me. and I take that away, and because of synchronicity of it, I ponder, why did that information, why did that language come my way?
Because you attracted it.
Well, I found different modes of integrating whatever it is, but certainly I attracted it, or I had projected it outward, and so it was coming home to roost.
Well, let's remember that thoughts have people just as much as people have thoughts, and the reality that I'm at least coming to understand. And this brings us back to the thought of like Watiko or Bob, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bob actually is a real force in this world. People actually do. I'm not gonna say it, but like, I mean, I'm actually, I mean, Leland. Well, anyways, people do horrible things, and this actually is a mirror for our reality. In fact, well, anyways, did you know that the White Stripes song is named Blue Orchid? Is actually do you know what the whole theme of that is about?
Fill us in, Nathan Lee.
Well, what is the Blue Rose case? Right. So the Blue Rose in Twin Peaks is a mystery that is something that's unsolvable, or AKA, using our occult language, it's unspeakable, something that's not talked about. So talking about the thing that we didn't talk about before, the Blue Rose is actually a Russian pedophile ring, as I came to find out only after I was like, now here's the thing about it. We all know, or better than anyone, and we're not getting into this. My history actually is not unconnected to it's not it's perfectly legitimate for me to use this song in a way that's actually still pure and not any other way. My life has had some interesting challenges. So the point about the white orchid is they took a white orchid and turned it blue. So there's all sorts of interesting things about that. But yeah, I was going into something about blue roses and orchids with Twin Peaks. And right, so that kind of thing happening, in Twin Peaks as the crux of the entire mystery, right? That level of evil that we're talking about, that exists in humans. And it's almost in some societies not even understood that way. So what is it about like some kind of like almost like, I don't know how to put this other than like a global way of understanding culture to see that like that's not okay as peopling goes. I don't know. It's a judgment, but it's an idea. Like there's certain things at certain ages that should not be getting done to certain creatures of consciousness, such as humans. That's just a thing. That's period, in my opinion. So, I mean, like, if you're breaking that law of nature, you're going against something and you're harming another creature. And that's definitely ripping holes in reality. You're doing something really negative, as Twin Peaks tries to express to us. I don't want to say too many things, especially about the third season. We have people in the audience, especially, who haven't seen the third season yet. But basically, there are real entities that possess people, and this horrible stuff can happen. And it's sometimes people just being awful. The I am fish head idea. Some people are just psychopaths. They just suck. And some people really, we hope that they get their stuff together and they never do. Some people we hope they do and they do. All sorts of things.
And they literally suck energy.
That's exactly why it's in Ticks and Leeches. That's why the song is ultimately about, what does this all come back around to, guys? The non-violence principle, the mutual agreement of exchange, not being a parasite.
Yes. And especially for those that you can see are travelers. Well, this is very interesting, Nathan Lee. Take us deeper in.
As you bid. So I think that we should tie Fringe and the X-Files in immediately. It was just 10/13, Chris Carter's birthday. His interesting, I just found out his name is Christopher C. Carter. This man, as he's
333.
He's a magical child, and so he's not unlike other people, but like he's a magical child. His life seems destined for certain things, and there he is making the thing in the Knights Templar and hey. So who knows, right? What soul path he chose when he came here, but thankfully he did, and thankfully he reminds us every time that I made this. So he named the production company 1013, which so people know, refresher, it's Jacques de Molay getting burned at the stake for thinking and expressing it Giordano Bruno style. So
it's also the day the Templars were exterminated.
Jerry?
Yeah.
It was the who?
The day the Templars were exterminated.
That's yep, it's true. That's true. So, it's where Friday the 13th came from. And anyways, like we're in October right now, which was the full moon, which was the night we recorded that Six of Cups. So I wanted to tie that energy together because anyways. So it was really cool to have like him in our reality, period. And Fringe is doubly excellent as well. It's like something weird to me about J.J. Abrams and all the Star Wars and Star Treks. And like, I want to say this off the bat. One of the things I've seen coming fresh eyed into Fringe is the manifestation powers at hand. This is some cool magic. This is some stuff I love to learn about. So I hope that someone out there gets something out of this because I just realized this. You're watching them talk to each, or I don't know. It's just like I remember. Anyways, I always like to say I'm like, oh, I remember this. I always like to say, oh, I just learned this. And I'm like, oh no shit, I actually knew. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about. People out there know exactly that feeling. It's actually all learning is remember. That's eminence, eminent, and onomenemes. So, anyways, the idea is that in this, oh, my ideas are getting away from me. I am describing in what am I describing? The what? Sorry.
Remembering is where you were tying.
No, it was literally talking about remembering, or
you were talking about 1013 and Chris Carter and X-Files.
Fringe though, something about
Fringe.
Whatever. So, anyways, my mind just like it's on the replay. People can hear that, and I'll write about it tomorrow. Whatever. My whole point is that in Fringe, this is that's right. Anyways, well, it doesn't matter. It's the point's aside now. So, J.J. Abrams does show about what Jerry said on the show the other night. It pretty much does feel like this is a perfect description of her. Oh, I remembered it. The point. This is actually this is fun how my mind works. Good luck living with this mind. I'm glad you guys don't have to. It's leave it to me to do it. So, this whole process of went away again. My good. But it's fun having a mind that works this fast. No, really, I have a Mercury Venus. Excuse me, a Mercury in Virgo, so my mind is a very quick thing sometimes. But it doesn't matter. Yes, I remembered it. Now here's the fucking point. When you look at the way that they're talking to each other in the show, they're actually kind of like talking as if they're manifesting the show to each other. So when you watch the first few episodes of Fringe, they're trying to talk it into existence. This is the meat and potatoes. So they're trying to talk it into existence. You can, if you look at the characters as if they're saying, oh, I'm Walter Bishop. He's actually trying to like say what's Olivia Dunham's character? What's her? Anyways, he's saying to
it's
the
Olivia
other
Dunham. It's her character.
That's her character.
No, I'm trying to say the actress's name. What's her name?
Anna Tove or Turv or something.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
she's Australian.
Yeah, well, if she is, that's also a thing. But the idea is that the entire way they're talking to each other, like trying to say that this is. If you can watch it with that little bit of a lens, I'll let you see the rest of the light that can unfold in different ways. There's a show within a show.
Very much so. There's a.
Oh yeah,
I was just saying to Mod was that the individual shows, that weren't part of the story arc over the 5 seasons or whatever. There's actually a word for that. I can't remember. I think they're serial episodes versus individuals. But the overall
Monster of the week.
Well, no, like X-Files. Sometimes they'd be hunting aliens and doing Smoky Man stuff, and the rest they were
mythology versus monster of the week.
The mythology episodes of Fringe are really, and I always felt it could be that the other universe was the dream state, that it wasn't real.
Jerry's with the spoiler alert, so
You just said what I said. I thought that's what you're talking
well, in a manner of words.
about. No, I love Fringe.
There's-
I love Fringe. The ending was perfect. It's great.
Yeah, Fringe
when
is
everyone got
amazing.
eaten by bears, remember that? Giant igloo fell on everyone, and everyone got eaten by bears. How Fringe ended.
Well, Fringe also brought into the collective, the zeitgeist, the idea of an alternate universe, alternate time.
Well, I mean, like Man in the High Castle and other things have done that, like a lot of other ways too.
Oh, it's definitely been out for a very long time. We go back to Philip Dick, but I'm saying into the into current era, and did it in such a good way and unfolded it in such a way that it was mysterious, and we were able to somehow, as a viewers, pull up to it with information we now see in our modern day lives with technology and science, especially when I say science, I'm talking about theory, right? It seems more possible, and so fringe fringe really brought us into that as a collective idea.
Yeah, they definitely did. What's important is like that's now being parlayed to us through some of the Dan Wise and Olivia, a dark journalist, talking about MIT as a place where a lot of certain kinds of confluences have occurred, and where else does Peter get his education that he drops out of? But that's his like plot device that he's wicked intelligent, is that I'm a dropout from MIT, and so that he has a 190 whatever IQ that he can do anything. So I mean, but like when you're watching the episodes themselves, then of course the currency observer and the entire universe they build up, including that the name of villain, part of it is David Bowie's name, gets us all broke.
Oh yeah, they're it's like baked in rabbit holes everywhere. What about the Men in Black observer
Like,
axis there? I mean, that is significant,
bubble.
and Dark Journalist did bring that up.
Yeah, and not only that, the fact that there's factions within the Men in Black in the show, a good and a bad, that dichotomy is really interesting too. How that plays
That's
out.
true, because it's kind of like there are like higher dimensional characters. Like there's actually White Lodge entities and Black Lodge entities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and
Well,
so this
yeah.
is, I mean, this is some of the stuff you were going to sync together, weave together. So
That's what we're doing. Yeah.
yeah.
And the same thing in the X Files, except for the X Files, their mythology is a lot more based in what you might find is like the Bill William Cooper level of conspiracy, up to like the Stephen Greer level of understanding things. Like there's a certain like riff, like Johnson and Smith catalog of extraordinary things that Chris Carter was playing to that informed his zeitgeist, which shaped it so that what the world of Fringe is able to do has these things, and X Files can have the liberty to do like this. It's plausible here, except until like there's the last season. But then you have the same thing for Twin Peaks. It's different in Twin Peaks' way, but they're all trying to tell the same like eternal thing that I mean, in one way, what are they trying to do by creating these? Are they trying to just tell a really powerful story? Are the creators trying to immortalize that themselves? Like what are all the angles that are going on with trying to have something dig into the zeitgeist? Even in a way, I was thinking comparing these powerful things to something that's as powerful, such as Alice in Wonderland, and the huge difference it needs to be for Twin Peaks, X Files, Fringe. They all do the same thing, which Alice doesn't do. And I'm trying to wonder which one's going to be more perennial in these senses. Why I bring this up? and that is that Twin Peaks, all of them, have dates that are actually mirrored in our own calendar. They happen in our world. So one of the sacrifices or conceits that these series make is that they do attempt to tell about our reality in this fashion. And I wonder the shelf life, so called, of that kind of thing compared to something like Alice, which Through the Looking Glass extended, and you could say The Hunting of the Snark as well, tries to tell the same strange cosmological story. But I wonder which one's more perennial. It's just the thought at hand that I was glad to convey now.
Why do we have to pick one? They all will be. No. Hello.
Jerry, I totally agree with that thought. They all will be. The idea of picking is interesting because I think just by the idea of judgment alone, or where our psychic content is as we project out onto storylines like these, Fringe, the X Files, and the David Lynch stuff, it's interesting to see where the hooks are for individuals, and then as individuals, how we come together to express these ideas.
Well, I mean, it's looking at them laterally across time spans. I've never heard someone compare it that way. That's all. It is a hook for me because I like to analyze things in very different ways. So yeah, I mean, interesting. You don't have to pick one either. I don't recall saying that we had to choose one. Just something that was coming to mind. Yeah.
Well, but Nathan Lee, so the idea of the hook is because I know that part of the artistry in storytelling is the hook idea, and it's weapon, of course. It's used masterfully. It's weaponized. Sometimes it's unconscious. It happens. Part of the process, and so, and I personally look for that, and it's part of how we get to that suspension of disbelief, right? Like, oh man, this now is tying into my life. I see this. Now I see how this dot connects to that dot. And you can go off into this wonderful lab. And so whether it's intentional or not, these kinds of things happen.
Right. That's why we're here too, is to do that with these Twin Peaks. Because I want to tell you about something special that happened the other day.
Ooh, lay it on us.
This is the kind of synchronicity that it's just dumbfounding. And I hope you don't mind my changing the direction here, because obviously, like, I'm thinking, like, one of the things we are doing is that I guess Stephen Jay Gould is the best example, like the way that he laterally thinks and is able to connect things in a brilliant way. So a poetic yet scientific, yet somehow it's like omniscient feeling in its pungent impact. I think that's what we're trying to get out of the drawing together of these series, with how it actually impacts our reality. For one, but yeah, I mean, this weekend I'm walking along. JJ and I are in the woods with two of the sweetest creatures, walking some doggos in the woodzos, and they're good little doggos. All doggos are good doggos, really. I believe. So you're walking the doggos, you walk do. JJ and I come around this corner, bend forest, and go this way. Beautiful thing over here. We go this way, regular path, but also beautiful. Something about it, just time to go this way. And we're pausing, taking pictures, the whole nine. And we turn around, and I see a dark swooping land on a branch, and I figure, hey, that's a cool ass hawk. And there's this hawk on the branch, right? Huge hawk. You guys know what's really cool about the story about this hawk?
I'm sure
It was an owl.
It's an eagle.
Eagle?
Jerry can't hold his load in anymore, so he had to blow it.
I didn't know.
Was that an innocent guess?
Jerry will have a sad smile on his stomach while the rest of you know that JJ and I found in the forest, instead of that hawk. I look up and I see that JJ says, that's not I'm like, yes, it is. Like, that's an owl. I said, no, it's not. That hawk isn't. It turns its head. I'm like, that hawk is not a hawk. And she and I got to stand there and just chill with that owl. And I thought that it would fly off, and we were like, oh no, are we gonna have enough time to hang out with the owl? And we ended up walking away after a while. But it was super cool to see it. Especially, yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, for me, just I'm always in awe of any of the natural experiences that happen in the wood. Why I'm constantly in the wood. And the idea that the swooping down, that there was a question of what you thought it was a hawk and you realized an owl, uh, is pretty fantastic. And also, I think there are a lot of people out there that do not get out in nature, especially, well, I'm just gonna leave it at that, that would have no idea of the difference, honestly.
I was a Boy Scout, and that's I almost like loathe that I responded with that first without saying some caveatory introductory sentence. But I was a Boy Scout, and me likey woodsy. Actually, before the frickin' Boy Scouts, I was a something about me needs forward, and I feel very comfortable. And I've always
Yeah.
felt something about like when I think about myself, I really rush whatever like rush. That's how I kind of feel like part of my enjoyment of myself. That's something that way to express. I love the forest. I love the feeling like we had this forest behind my house before when I was a kid, and it seemed like it was the biggest place ever. I thought we lived on the edge of like I don't know, like some huge magic forest. Never and
For Everland.
fucking awesome. And it was winter, and we were in these sleds, and the family was together. And so then we go down into this thing, and it's so beautiful and picturesque. And they're going through, and the snowflakes are coming down. All there. No, no. When you're an adult, right?
Right, right.
When I was a kid, rushing. You know what I mean? Right? I know
Yes.
that's not a waterfall, but rushing is good. So, and, and so, yeah, I know, right? That's all this like anyway, dream logic. And so I was like,
Perception.
yeah, it was huge. And so, anyways, um, I think I was going somewhere with something about magical perspective, or I don't know. It was a
Well,
nice
I
answer.
No,
had,
you said you were going to take a tangent.
yeah,
I did say
did.
that. I literally just said, "Hold on, it's time for a tangent about my." All right, guys, I turned 35, and I've already done an old man tale. This is not good.
Well, but it brought me to a question for you, and it that I feel is an interesting thing to ponder. So if we're looking at the universe and everything in it around us, the world around us, as somehow a projection or part of ourselves, we're connected into it. I said connected into it. Uh, and we're connected
Pepe,
into
bless you.
on that from east to west. And
West to east again.
I know, right? Let's loop it. And
Woo!
so people that don't understand this stuff, Nathan Lee, are just going, what are they talking about?
I don't think anyone's ever stopped saying that, but I'm gonna just let you finish this one now.
So with this idea of pondering the outer world and projection and synchronicities and alternate realities, timeline, where does all that fit for you in your mind when this experience that you just gave us happened? So,
Last night. Yeah, last night. I'm doing the thing where I'm in the. Okay, so we were you asked JJ this, and she'll say, yeah, it's true. And so we were looking up this thing, and I was like, hey, you need to watch. We need to read this book by this guy named Mike Clellan called The Messenger.
Have you
oh,
have you read
wow.
that book?
And I look it up on Amazon, and I'm showing her on Amazon on what is it on Friday night, and then the next day we're in the woods and doop doop doop.
Okay, so the night before you were talking about the messengers,
Yeah,
and then an owl showed up.
yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, That's solid in a beautiful way.
Dude. Oh my freaking goodness. I just went like this. I know one of you might have seen that. If you didn't, that's okay. But when I just did I raised my hand to people who can't see it. But when I did that, the person's apartment above me drops heavy shit in the floor, like right as I did.
Confirmation.
Yes. I just thought I'd share that. That's why I went, dude, holy shit, I struck gold.
All right, get back to the connections.
All right. Thanks, Dad.
Well, we're coming up an hour and a half. So.
Oh, goodness gracious. It's like people like your show now? Come on. You guys are the best. They're going to stick around.
Well, so tie all the synchronicity stuff back into, David Lynch's world, J.J. Abrams' world, and all that that one has in their personal life with these stories that we pull up to. We pull up to J.J. Abrams. We pull up to David Lynch and expect to have a certain experience because of their bodies of work, because of the legacies they have laid down. And so how does this all tie in with an experience, say, of being an observer, a watcher of these great shows?
Yeah, I mean, like, these things are propagating for us as well. So, like, they need us to live. Without us, they die. That's important to remember. Just like we need each other more than we need these TV shows. That's important to remember. Yeah, and it's interesting too that when do they start telling the fiction and when do they start telling the reality? I mean, David Lynch said, "I'll see you in 25 years." Bob's your uncle. So, same thing with
But
the whole
how
Fringe was executed almost perfectly.
how much difference is there between reality and these shows?
Exactly. No, you're perfectly correct, Jerry. And that's the thing to say that how can I phrase this? Like, this is a totally chaos magic way of understanding the world, which people should do anyway. So, a what a fiction book is real. That fiction book is as real as what your themed life. That's basically long and short of it. Again, is real.
It's just a reality you're not intertwined with yet.
Sorry, Jerry. What?
It's a real reality that you're just not part of yet or ever.
I like how you did that. That's interesting.
Well, I'm gonna go from look at it from like a Grant Morrison perspective. The Invisibles was a fiction piece that he wrote, a reality that he created and then got embroiled within.
I just ordered the physical I don't know what else to call it, the physical component to the Invisibles reading group, and say that I began watching Fringe. Wouldn't you know that the woman who helped me at the mystery place,
Redhead,
it was Olivia, like
of
Dunham.
course, yeah.
So right path. So people who are interested in the Invisibles reading group, go to the Six of Swords Discord. 11:11 to get in there. You get to join the exclusive Invisibles reading group. You do not, wink, wink, get access, wink, wink, to a PDF, wink, wink, in case you need to, wink, wink, read the comic, wink, wink. And also, you do get a material thing that ties you in together. And we will be doing the coolest parts of this is that you'll get to meet other people who you're going to be friends with after. But during the interim, fifth part of this, I guess, is that we're going to be doing group rituals. You'll get to be building your magical chops in the process. And
you just reminded me that there's a group in the Grimerica Discord that's doing intention work.
Yeah, there's a group in like the Lunar Cry that does intention work. There's a group in the Chaos Magic. There's lots of different intention groups out there. So find the people that you vibe with. Go to that one if that works for you. Huh?
Right. Agree.
Yes, because you need to manifest your dream. So do what works for that.
Well, so I have a question on that. So why does it behoove anyone to join a group to do that?
It's if you don't,
you just do that on and of yourself.
Sorry, the video cut off over here.
Group intention is much more powerful than single.
I agree with that, Jerry. And so that's why I'm trying to get clarity on that for clarity's sake. And so, but there are a lot of people in the world, and I'm one of them at this point in my life where groups have really led me astray. And I realize and recognize that it's part of the rebel in me that like cue the Pee Wee Herman. I'm a loner segment, but I have found more trouble in groups than I have in my solitary work. And I'm wondering sometimes in, say, group intention work, if one person's intent is not in a full alignment with the others, then you have a weak link in a chain. And that, with more pressure, which i.e. is more intent that layers onto it over and over and on again, can be a very bad thing, not to mention dangerous. So
I would
I'm
definitely agree that you shouldn't be with anything that's toxic like that.
well, and so that's why I'm asking what's the point of I guess I'm trying to get you to give me the idea of group versus solo. And Jerry brings in a good point. It's more intent, focused, more people
Yeah. What's
create.
the whole parable about? I'm sorry if I overlap a bit too. There seems to be a wee lag, but I'll just keep saying that. Like, okay. So interestingly, this comes to mind. For a period, I went to a Universalist Unitarian church, and we even had one guy who stood up. Like, here's the apex of the whole event for me. That kind of gets to the point. We had one guy who stood up and just said, "Why aren't we allowed to say we aren't we can't worship atheistness or something like that?" Effect. He's like, "Why aren't we allowed to say that there's no God?" And I almost like, "What, in this house of God?" And so, but like anyway, so the point is that groups do matter. Cohesion does matter. Like throughout history, people get together and have their groups from the Gnostics or whatever that means. Especially when you listen to Miguel's stuff, you're like, get really fooled on how that's not a thing. And you got to say that like there's been throughout history, just maybe there's groups of people who want to do it this way or do it this. You know what I mean? There's something magical. Here's my what I try to there's something about group because the very way that my soul gained reality was through a paradox created with humans felt enough magnetic love attraction, whatever of the universe to try to become the universe again for just a little itty bitty fucking second in this otherwise some trudgerous awful world. It's also wonderful and leads to some sexy times, which led to my soul being able to rip through a paradox and enter into this realm. So took a team to get there. Sometimes teams are good. I don't know.
Okay, so let me take it, and I'm not pro or con. I'm just suggesting because I've done both, and I agree that it's all connected to me anyway. And so, as I said earlier, the deeper into life, into human experience I get, the more I realize it's all about me. And I don't mean that in a materialist perspective. I mean that really, truly on a spiritual level. It's all about me. And uh and then feeding that idea and propelling that idea within myself is creating it's almost like a wave or an imminence or
I
a
like that.
brightness. So I just wonder sometimes how much I really need others. So when I say that, I'm working with spirits of planet, and I'm working with spirits of animals, and I'm working with spirits of place. So I don't mean this in a completely solitary sense in the fact that it's strict, where I just cut out everything. But I'm just saying I'm talking about human, Homo sapiens sapien, or there's something therein,
Some
something
people are just
closely related.
some people are just self fulfilled. I think it's so easy to get so caught up in today, especially when we were talking about we're finding out how important it is that love is such an important
Yes.
factor in our life. I will say though that throughout history, it's important to remember that people have been weird throughout history. Like not even just newspaper clippings, like medieval stories about weirdos in villages, like the world, and not just in like an Asia, European context. Think about all across the spectrum of the Fortean reality. It's weird. It's marvelous. So I guess where I'm trying to go, you know what? I was trying to go somewhere with that, and I'm just gonna turn this way and get us back to what the good people came for, which is some more Twin Peaks and X Files and Fringe before it gets far down. In the X Files, it's more like I said, yeah, kind of, but it does interesting touch on like even like that like whole Alex Jones character guy and Alex Jones kind of a non-person now, the age of another Alex Jones.
Who was the Alex Jones guy? Which show? Which show?
In X Files, my friend. It was the 10th season, the first episode, and like the second last two.
Oh, I didn't watch that.
Ted O'Malley was the character.
Yeah.
And I recall, yeah.
And
how he's not a thing now.
Alex Jones and Trump. There was only room enough for one of the Alex Joneses, so I'm just talking. Yeah, gotta retire them. All right, I'm glad we could get around to that. Brain segue into retiring Agent Philip Jeffries or David Bowie. But it's interesting. That's actually as far as going that. Yeah, in the X Files, you actually have a whole thing where they start to go into the Alex Jones stuff, which Twin Peaks doesn't so much touch, except and not to give away any, but David Lynch happens to see an old character from both X Files and Twin Peaks, because worlds are Grant Morrison, and one of them says, basically, fix your heart or die. And I'd actually get that tattooed, frankly. I was so in agreement with that from the severity love level, like both sides. But like, and it's totally Brave New Worldy in a way. It's totally, but at the same time, it's like very, uh, even if it has a Georgia Guidestones appeal, at the same time, it is very fucking true. I don't know what to tell you. But here's the thing about that whole thing. One show's agenda, uh, fight, dice, level romp, and that's time maybe up. I don't know. I don't know what I have to say. I know whatever it was, trying all the for the first two cinematic. I am, but there's no other Xbox. Anyway, um, kind of show also parody here sort of forehead, but an examine the fact that's a whole other question about Ozzy for round memory. But the whole point is that they have a different X Files, what they're trying to do. Fringe does. I think Fringe is almost the one that seems pesky until you re-examine Twin Peaks. But Fringe, in fact, I'd say that still is basically because certain goals that I feel that it may have here are going to be oblique from this point forward, for several reasons. But let's just examine something that's interesting, and I'm not even going to say it's related to my obliqueness at all, because why would I do that and then lead you this way? I will say that very, very, very interesting. What's going on in England right now?
Are you
Is
speaking
that a question?
Yeah.
Well, I was actually deeply interested to see if someone would say Brexit instead of the royal stuff. I was hoping that someone would respond with the royals thing. Kate Middleton, right? She is an American royal. Is that correct?
You know what? I haven't really I
I
don't
have
follow
no
too
idea.
much stuff.
Wow.
I
It's
don't know
still
that she's a royal, but she's an American.
No,
well.
Meghan Markle is American. She's an
Sorry, whose
actress.
name did I use?
Middleton.
Middleton
I don't
is the
know.
other one.
I don't know who that is, but I'm pretty sure Meghan Markle is American.
Yeah. You knew the one I was trying to say, though. Yeah. Thank you. She was on Fringe for 2 episodes. Like a now member of the royal family was on. That's non-connected.
I did not know that. That is actually an interesting tidbit there.
I know. I came on here to have one.
So what was her role? That is juicy to
I'm
me.
such a fresh bastard sometimes. It is pretty interesting, isn't it? That he is now in very rare position.
So we're talking about Catherine, right? And not it's Catherine Middleton, right? Is that
On the first 2 episodes?
Which show?
I think it's Meghan Markle.
Which
okay? So
show?
we're talking about Megan. Nathan Lee, you have me completely confused.
What show?
Fringe.
Fringe. Yeah, she played junior agent, FBI agent Amy Jessup in 2 episodes.
Only there for 2 things because then her I don't know, whatever story they tell her.
She probably dies or got shapeshifted.
Is that what happened? Donald Marshall karate chopped her down a stadium.
If that is an interesting connection, though, I do enjoy pondering that. Definitely.
What? I think that 3 shows should be mentioned quickly in tandem with this, which is Happy Town, The Event, and Flash Forward.
Flash Forward. I remember that show. Got
It
canceled.
was 1 season, right?
Yeah.
There's
was a
Flash
half a
Forward,
season.
and then there's Flash Forward with the names connected. It's the one from 29, 11.
It ended the season with them seeing camera footage of people leaving something in a football stadium. That one. You don't remember?
Or I don't do the spoilers. But
A spoiler, it's a 20-year-old fucking show that got canceled. Who cares?
No, really, for real.
Oh, you guys think it's for real, but I like the art. So I'll tell you what, there was a lot of weird dimensional shifting stuff that looks just like Fringe. So it's like, did they try to get it out this way and then snuck it? I don't know how if I even want to say that, but the idea is that it has similar people who wear certain rings. In fact, like Twin Peaks, have certain abilities that, and there are very select elite few that have these rings for whenever this event comes. That goes. So yeah, there's a lot of similar zeitgeist things. But back to I guess the point, what is each show trying to do to our society as if they are just like any kind of just like any kind of organism, it's trying to propagate itself in the world, right? Like weed wants to be smoked and alcohol tries to get people to drink it. Same concept, I think. The show wants the world to look like the show. Camus said that we are the way that we wish the world to, or that we wish others to be in the world. So
there's also the idea that Abrams has CIA ties, obviously, and there's some level of social engineering injected into the plot lines through that connection.
That's very, very important to bring into. Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm not saying it's bad social engineering because, as you know, I take this approach that there are some secret societies out there who are trying to enlighten people, as well as there are secret societies out there who want to control people,
That's true. I mean, hypothetically speaking.
I feel like I need to take some DMT to get on the same level with you two. I feel completely lost.
Dude, but the thing is, like, you actually are super psychedelic, and you know that you're like Ralph Steadman. You're okay.
The artist Ralph Steadman.
I'm just trying to say when Niish is sober, that's when Steadman's high. I don't know. I'm just saying. Just like, no,
so, did you have any other connections between the 3?
What, dude? Oh, by the way, guys, it's 11/11. Happy 11/11, everyone. 11/11. Hey, 11.
Were there any other
Right.
connections you had to bring up?
Stay with us, Nathan.
Connection? Oh,
Get
I
off,
will once.
get off your phone. It's a live show. Thank you. Oh, I got a beer. I'm ready.
You guys, I'm drinking tea. So, all right, let's.
The funny thing about that is, like, I completely wasn't even sorry to bring up, but now that you know, I've totally marked my territory throughout time space in multiple dimensions now. Thank you, thank you, Terry. Jerry. Now Jerry split into multiple fractals.
Well, this is a
goodness.
multi-dimensional broadcast, so we automatically do that.
We are coming from multiple angles at the same time. And now some Eric Clapton mixed with some Elton John.
So since you won't bring up any connections, I'll dig into it. Was there an alternate dimension? I think it was the Black Lodge was representative of another dimension in Twin Peaks. Was that true?
First of all, I will. Sure, but and that's another question that we did ask. What's the difference between the subconscious and the afterworld? It's a question about.
I was just talking about on the surface.
Question: what's the White Lodge Black? What the person who's mentioned consciousness eventually gets them there. I think so. The Black Lodge in Twin Peaks would be not the same thing.
Okay. All right. Not an alternate universe per se, but an alternate reality. Because, like, in the X-Files, you've got Fox Mulder who lives in this UFO alien world reality, right? And Mulder doesn't believe that, so that's not her reality. So in a way, you've got two realities there that they're both spanning. No?
Well, I mean, it's a similar idea. But I don't know if you could necessarily say like, oh, that perceptual basis is the demarcator for. Yeah, I don't know if those are apples and oranges or fire irons and moon pies. But the point is that I think that in all three of the shows, they're trying to show that more to reality than people, see on have. And kind of cool when like a regular show gets weird for an episode. Like what's that one that tried to do the Twin Peaks thing? Gus was a character on it. I never really watched the show. It was a detective-ish show.
No idea.
Yeah, they called
was it a True Detective?
No, it was a silly show. It was a buddy cop detective comedy, and Gus and people out there know what I'm talking about. They did it homage where they had three different Twin Peaks actors on the show. It was called like Twin Spires or Twin Spirals or something like that. Anyways, it's neither here nor there. Each show has their own cosmology, but I guess like try to tie them, kind of show you like who the good guy is. Obviously, next that good solar hero with and Adam Curry back. Got the whole world revealed to them because they're finding out that he involves them. Very personal and world that's developed around himself. Really kind of has that, which happens. But yeah, I don't want to say any spoilers. Yeah, those aren't the rules anymore. So I guess to answer a long-winded like connection of a lot of the did ask, I did dig with my golden shovel. I'd say that yeah, job always having all of it always.
Well, I find you brought up a little snippet there earlier, and I do adore and like I don't watch a huge amount of programming, but I do pull up to the weird always. So I'm definitely predispositioned towards the sci-fi stuff and the psychodrama stuff. Love that. All that whole genre. So the idea of pulling up to any of the more mundane sitcoms, it's just not for me. And so I'm not versed in them. And I'm not, I can say with Twin Peaks too, I didn't finish the second season, and there was something about it that it lost me. And it didn't lose me intellectually. It didn't lose me as far as fodder for my mind and all that, because Lynch is brilliant, and I applaud him always, and I'm thankful for his canon that he's unleashed into the world. I just I it was, I don't even know why. I pulled away from it for some reason, and I've been trying to understand what was it about the current era of Twin Peaks that lost me, and I still haven't been able to pinpoint that.
Some people felt that way. A lot of people fell off. The magic did have a, for a lot of people. Yeah, you're not alone.
Oh, really? Okay, that's interesting to know. I tried, Nathan Lee. I really tried. I tried to sit through. I found myself falling asleep, ironically.
You're not the only one.
Oh,
So,
wow. Wow. So, and then, I'm sure the woo woo out there is you're getting programmed that way as well, or it's inducing some sort of hypnagogic of course there's woo every direction, and I love that.
oh,
So,
oh my
yes.
God. I'm so glad you said that. One of the themes in Fringe totally did it for me. Like I await the day when I have the scenario where I'm just able to chew through this show, because that's gonna be. But yeah, the idea is that, like, for example, I thought about this with Tool's new album, Fear Inoculum. What they were doing in the show on Fringe, they were showing a pattern of a recording on a magnetic film strip, and it had been around a person who was super electromagnetically charged. And this is totally spoiler free. And what they did is they decoded the other mask. Like, this is obviously 2008, so they had a set tape, which I thought was fun to be able to use as a reference in the first place. And they demagnetized the other music from it, right? They canceled it out using music editing software, and what was left was actually this guy's imprint because of thing, electric. And they were able to, like, hear, get his electroauric print away from the tape. And I was wondering about how music could, like, be used for TV shows or sequences.
There was a window they did that too.
And so what happened was, I was thinking about what would happen if in, like, an album there underlie, like, I know that when people are gonna, you have to go back and this new Tool album, all and Jerry was completely, like, falling off the building, splatting away from the target wrong when he described me as a Tool fan, or a boy.
I called you a super fanboy.
I would tell you the truth, I'm actually not a fan of that. Weird. I like this stuff that happens. Cool, weird, occult shit, like Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd have the same stuff with the Beatles. But anyways, Doors. But anyway, so I called Jackson, same birthday as Frazier. Point is that when you look at Sarah, you got me distracted. When you're looking at the different, where the hell was I? Conversation. What happened?
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I was going somewhere with that. Goodness gracious. Right. I got it. Oh, great. Yeah, too bad. It's too bad that it wasn't something that now it's something that I'm trying to explain, so I can't ask. Right. So here's the point. When you look at the way that an album could actually encode on people using a certain kind of repeated exposure, say, like, you only listen to an album in this form, only listen to it completely, or something about a media, like a film, you only usually watch start to finish. It's kind of, give or take, that's kind of the way it's done. And it's just interesting to think about the way that that medium could be used if this was the way that they were describing this principle of this, because this is not fringe science fake, not even like animism, like everything fiction is true. I mean, like it's even in a stronger level of Forteanic reality. This stuff is more imminent, what I'm saying. And so, like, this is actually so it just got me thinking, oh, and you could do that with an album. And if you're trying to reprogram society into a particular magnetic flux or frequency to make them bend in this way or bend in this way or bend in this way or manipulate this chaos, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, blah, 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 then you would actually be able to kind of use that mechanism, sure, in a similar way. Linear, that'd be cool. Fine. If there's something hidden in your inoculum, for example, maybe they waited 13 years to have that tech.
There's always been stories about secret frequencies in music that are.
You even hear the stuff in the basements with like the witches cursing the tapes.
Oh yeah, I mean this kind of thing's old school, and then there's next level stuff like the stuff that Solaris Blue Raven talks about with her experience, her
Yeah.
personal experience with Rush, and it's written about that extensively, and so it's out there for sure. And I would expect and hope that a band such as Tool would be delivering a storyline via right via their own algorithm through or frequency through their music. It just you expect it with them because they're at that level.
I think that's
And
interesting.
of course the question is always what's the intent behind it, and we always come back to that. What is the intent with this piece of art that is out in the public arena, programming, and I kind of using those air quotes, programming people that are viewing and listening the content.
Well, Lewis Carroll does talk about the mental diet, and I'll let people look up the brain pickings on that one. You look at extremely distracted for a second there. Yeah, I think that it's interesting you brought up Rush because that was just on No Agenda as a John C. DeFore acting. I love the band Rush, kind of the weird echo. But I don't know what they did, but that's interesting that Solaris has that experience with them. I'd be interested to hear about it. But I do agree your point about you would hope that Tool's attitude, their story, their intention be good, right? Or whatever, like upwards. Look at the artwork on the album, quick indicator, just my brief flash, hey, look, could be a thing. The art I said road too many times, still trying to get to the full thing. The thing is, it shows a guy spiraling down, spiraling up, and it's triple kind of god showing like this level of reality and next level and the next, flat kind of shows the ramification, tension, pause for thought. And I heavily encourage people to have right mental thinking. It's not always easy, right? And even people you think who have their stuff together, it's hard to be a person no matter what your station in life is. That's why kindness is important. And I mean that at a critical level. And if you think it's corny, then you really need, really, really just slow the roll. Maybe I suggest. I think it's very important. Like it's hard. And I like the thing that Michelle and ever track through best upward spiral. I think that's all the background. I think that ultimately, at least for Twin Peaks, that's in well.
So with the Twin Peaks stuff, did David drop any Easter eggs after about stuff that he intentionally placed in that that the people to give people some insight that there are the other storylines, there are other things going on that he's trying to get at, because he's classic for that, and we do look to his work for multiple storylines, multiple avenues of art weaving
Maybe I could use another.
through a cohesive piece.
Sorry, the thing cut off. Maybe we could use that same seed that I brought up earlier with the actor, because you do use different actors to then draw them to different roles. There's that level of Hollywood magic or whatever. It's just kind of, I think there's something bigger and more astrological and numerological, obviously, to it, but it's just we do stuff. Anyway, you want it to be good, do it right. So anyway, um, the point is that David Lynch has in that scene where he says, "Fix your heart or die." There's a guy who room and says to him, "How are your wife and kids, Bill? It's great to see you, Bill. How are your wife and kids?" "Oh, quite good." You remember that scene?
I do, yes.
And so that guy, do you know what that man's life is in the non-acting when he's in real home life with wife and kids? You
No,
know what?
what is it? Tell it.
Gay. He doesn't have kids. He doesn't have. He's gay. So he's doing one of those things that you just said. He's speaking volume by using a little. That's not one of the things that he came out and said afterwards. That's something I learned after the fact. Oh my goodness, wonderful. That's love. That's so wonderful. So he says to the guy, "How are your wife and kids?" And there's like this whole thing being said there. I just love David Lynch at that level of art. So that's
But
a
wouldn't someone say, well, that's just part of the role he's playing? And so
yeah. I guess you couldn't. That's the magic about the occult, right? Isn't it? Yeah. It's not really not
yes,
not
indeed.
really.
Yes, absolutely. There's always leeway. There's always give and take, and there is always another layer. The high priestess with the finger
So
of
it's like that.
Jupiter up to her mouth.
It's like that movie National Treasure. Never ends. Clue after clue.
Yes. Well, National Treasure did it well, and it certainly cracked the code. Har har. Uh,
Okay.
uh,
Could I?
of it cracked the code of for a lot of people to start looking deeper into narrative in the world around them, and narrative in the world around them that goes way back hundreds of years. And so, again, this was a service that was milled through Hollywood, of course, and that's its own thing. But it was a service to the collective to start questioning the world around them, to start looking and seeing dots, and that you're not crazy when you start connecting the dots. However, there's also a very good lesson in all of this, that it behooves the traveler, it behooves the journey person to maintain a sense of one foot on the ground, like temperance card, tarot, a sense of being grounded in your now so that you don't go completely off into space on your own, so that you may continue on with, and this is another har har, the program.
Wow, that was almost. I It got dark at the end there for a little bit. I don't know the program. Okay. Mistress, who you working for, girlfriend? I don't know.
I'm a free agent,
Oh,
mercenary.
she's gonna win no matter who wins. I just know that, and I'll be
Wait,
there
wait,
with
wait.
her. But anyways, and
Patiently, the
JJ,
house always been.
I'm not that fat. How dare you? Anyway, wow, what the hell just happened there? All right, yes. Anyway, so but I do want to say that I think it's interesting about like the way that our lives manifest and like even the way our personalities, do, especially when you're tuned with like it almost seems like synchronicity right now. It's someone from a friend of mine. He's a Death Star. The Joseph T. Farrell site says to me. He says, look into the one that well, anyways, the point is that there's always room for like a lot of people are concerned with this idea of synchronicity and trickster and Carl Jung such like. So I'm like very interested in your thoughts about what you think about synchronicity being related to a trickster element, what that has to do with dreams, because we can do that, and then what that has to do with these strange entities that we see inside of the black log. Asking that question because I was going to ask a totally different thing, but I went into that instead.
Well, I think you're the qualified answer.
See, a large way that I do things, and I'll tell this, but do this for the rest of my life. I say I make it up as I go along, and some of the best things that I do in my life come when I'm just having fun and just trying to share something on a whim with people, and then suddenly something came through me that was you can't make it up. No, you
Well,
can't
as the
think there's no way.
infamous poor famous superstar public actor Russ happened.
And not the kind that make a smiley face in your eye.
He's
But,
my hero, Bob Ross.
I love Bob
we
Ross
all love
too.
Bob Ross. Yeah.
Kind of it's kind of a rule, kind of the rule.
He's an icon, and he's an icon that got trapped into having to keep his afro perm. He didn't want it.
Oh, he died before it went out of style.
I know, but still. But his behind the scenes stuff from his son talks about is he behooved the fact that it became his
trademark.
Yeah.
I could see why,
he inspired me to start painting.
A big thing on your head to carry around if you don't want it.
No, dude, it's super light. It's airy.
A big thing isn't the same, anyways. You're right.
This show has been crazy.
His old lady liked it.
To me. I feel I need to take a shower.
This show has been one for the books. It's been crazy from beginning to end. I feel like, are there any questions? We should maybe get to that point.
No.
When are we going to start the show, guys?
I know.
I say we're done. We're done. It's 2 hours. We're good.
This was a wild trip, you two. Oh my goodness. Nathan Lee, I can always count on just the surreal with you. And so I bow down to that always. I am always in for the surreal, and you always deliver wild surreal to my world.
Surreality.
Yep.
Yeah. Thank everyone for listening. It's a bit disjointed. Next time we better.
And thank you guys, by the way.
You're welcome.
I don't know if this is the part where I'm supposed to, is this good night part?
Yeah, almost. I'll get to you.
Ooh, that sounds like it should be off the air.
That did sound a bit like sex.
Oh, wait, what?
1 minute later. So, Nate, do you have anything to plug?
I got a little stage shy when you were talking about 1 minute. I'm like, Jerry, I want you more. That's all you can give. I'll tell you what, occultfan.com is actually a dinosaur of a website right now. It does need like tender love and care. This way that all of my ventures can be put onto there for now. As it stands, my music is right now, music that is right now is OccultFan. A blog, Master No Self, I find ties awesome in with the concept of seeing self so that through one can come through. Not the MK Ultra style, mind you, the health serious upward spot.
Or the anal probing aliens.
Of course, leave it to Jerry. But so to carry on, I think that the other thing that I have going on is like this. I don't know if you guys heard it. It's called a podcast, and 6 of swords, 6 of cups, wands, and 6 of discs. The K, 6 of discs, and you can find those on the Apples, the whatever provide podcast on. Of course, the best place to reach me is the 6 Swords Discord, and that is where we'll be running the Invisibles group through, which does begin on 11/11. So you're welcome to join anytime up to then. It's going to be, I mean, dude, think about a bunch of chaos magician and magically operant people reading Invisibles at one time with intention. You want to be part of that. So I think besides that, that's what I got going on. The shows, my book ongoing, and my music is ongoing. And also, I want to give a shout out to JJ Blanc Ron makes jewelry. Really, you'll consider thyself fortunate to own one of her pieces. This is the stage in her career together. At. And also, I want to plug the cups that I did the other day with lovely men, gentlemen, all of them. So look for the most recent Six of Cups. It's going to start a series of what I'm trying to do as shaping away at what I really understand our world to be, but in a fun way. Watch that happen.
But in a fun way.
It's sexy alchemy. It's like Tantra's not easy to build those muscles, but damn it, baby, you know it feels right. All right, that's it. I plugged it. I plugged it, and I plugged it hard.
All right.
Feel complete now? Yes, you do. We can go become stars again.
I'm cum drunk. Put it that way.
I always.
Jerry, you came to the show. I'm not okay, guys. Thanks.
Oh,
Lovely show.
Anyway, thanks, Nate. It was nice having you.
I feel like
Nice.
I took an LSD tab
So-
or something. You guys are awesome.
Next time, next show, which is November. What did you say it was? 12th? No.
Yes.
What's his
Wait,
face?
is it
Dan
thir-
said that.
Yeah.
It's the 13th again. So
Yes,
November
it's
13th is when we're going to have the next show. Full Moon is on the 12th. We're going to have Eric Miller, the author of The Disruption Engine, and he's going to be talking about the esoteric beliefs or nature of Jack Kirby and the old comic book guys. Who
Is it Eric Miller or Eric Millar?
I'm saying Miller because he hasn't corrected me yet.
Okay, because I've heard Keith call him Millar.
Well, he's kind of snooty like that.
Okay. Well, Keats is not snooty at all.
Kidding.
All right. Anyway, carry on.
I have no
Jerry.
idea how to pronounce his name. It's got an AR, MI, whatever. It's going to be a good show because we're going to talk about definitely Jack Kirby a lot because he wrote a lot of his esoteric beliefs and Gnostic beliefs into his comic books, such as the X-Men. I think it was the X-Men, right? He was a Marvel guy, right? Maybe getting this confused. But yeah, him and Stan Lee. Good shit. It's going to be pretty cool. Or it'll suck. We'll see. That's how it goes. All right. That's my final word. Anything from you, Nish?
No, I just want to
Just
say
once.
have as our astrologer next moon, Astrolunatic Susan, and I'm thoroughly excited about that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us and bearing with us as the show gets its footing. It's all kind of developing.
Yeah.
And so,
Go back and listen to the first couple of Nox Mentes. You'll be horrified.
yeah, I mean, we're getting our footing, so it'll get there. We love the show. I love the show, and I'm thrilled that it's pushing forward. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jerry and Nathan Lee.
Thank you,
Thank
Nish.
you, guys.
Thanks, Nate. And we'll
Everyone.
talk
Have a great
to
night.
Yeah, you too.